Something happened on a major crypto exchange this morning that most people dismissed as a glitch. A 1,000 times candle wick on XLM, price spiking to $2.20 in seconds before snapping back. On one of the largest exchanges in the world, not a small illiquid platform, a monster exchange with deep liquidity, and it still happened. Today we are going to break down what that wick is actually telling us, why XRP's chart is setting up for something significant, and the single most powerful use case in all of crypto that almost nobody is talking about. And it has XRP's name written all over it. This is XRP verified. Let us get into it. Let us start with the XLM wick because understanding it correctly is important. A 1,000 times candle wick means price briefly broke through an enormous number of sell orders before snapping back. On a deep liquidity exchange that requires serious buying pressure to cause that kind of movement. The question is not whether Stellar is going to $2.20 tomorrow. The question is what that wick reveals about the state of the market underneath current prices. When price can momentarily punch through walls of sell orders on a deep exchange, it signals that the buying pressure building underneath the surface is significant. It means liquidity is returning to the market. It means capital is flowing back into digital assets. And here is the pattern that every experienced XRP holder already knows from watching multiple cycles. Things tend to pump before XRP. Stellar pumped after the DTCC announcement. Other assets move. Retail gets distracted and frustrated asking why XRP is not moving. And then XRP moves. And when it does, it holds its gains longer and more consistently than almost any other asset in the space. This is not XRP underperforming. This is XRP being the last major asset to price in what the rest of the market has already started pricing in. The sequence has played out this way multiple times. There is no reason to believe this cycle is different. Now let us look at XRP's actual chart, because the technical picture is genuinely one of the cleanest setups in the market right now. XRP is consolidating directly on top of its previous monthly all-time highs from 2018 and 2021. That is an extremely rare and powerful chart formation. Most assets that break previous all-time highs and then pull back fall well below those levels during the correction. XRP is holding right on top of them, using those previous highs as support. That is not weakness. That is institutional accumulation happening at the exact level where retail traders are most frustrated and most likely to give up. The chart is telling you that the people who understand XRP's value are buying every time price touches those levels. And the XLM wick this morning is telling you that liquidity is coming back to the broader market, which historically flows into XRP with force once the momentum builds. Now let us talk about something that most XRP analysis is missing entirely, and it is arguably the most important differentiation in the entire cryptocurrency space. There is a debate happening inside the XRP community about whether the XRP ledger should copy features from other smart contract platforms, add more developer functionality, become more like Ethereum or Solana, chase the same developer activity that other chains are chasing. Here is why that debate misunderstands what the XRP ledger actually is and what it is competing for. Cardano added smart contracts, and the price of its token declined. The reason is that adding developer functionality does not automatically translate into production use cases. Right now, Ethereum, Solana, Sui, Hedera, Cardano, every smart contract platform is competing for the same thing. Who builds the best developer environment? Who attracts the most projects? It is a crowded race with no clear winner. The XRP ledger is running an entirely different race. Instead of unlimited functionality with unlimited vulnerabilities, the XRP ledger is implementing the most important features of the global financial system directly into its native codebase. Not everything, the right things. The things that 99% of institutional financial activity actually requires. That philosophy is unique. It is differentiated. And it is the exact philosophy that the most important financial institutions in the world are looking for when they evaluate blockchain infrastructure for real settlement. They do not need infinite programmability. They need compliance tools, settlement finality, transaction cost efficiency, and regulatory clarity. all built natively. The XRP ledger has all of that. And it is not trying to be everything to everyone. It is trying to be the essential infrastructure for the most important thing, moving value between financial institutions at global scale. Now, let us talk about Ripple Prime, because this is the piece of the XRP story that is most underappreciated right now. Most tokenization coverage focuses on the assets being tokenized. Tokenized treasuries, tokenized bonds, tokenized real estate. And that is exciting. But there is a problem that almost no one is addressing. Assets get tokenized, and then they sit there. Nobody trades them. Nobody uses them for settlement. The tokenized asset market grows in nominal value, but generates almost no actual transaction volume. Ripple Prime is the solution to that problem. Ripple Prime is not just a tokenization platform. It is a complete institutional financial stack. Prime brokerage, custody, trading, lending, borrowing, and settlement, all connected to the XRP ledger in a single integrated system. Think about what that means in practice. Right now, if an institution wants to tokenize an asset and then trade it, they need a separate custody provider, a separate execution venue, a separate lending facility, a separate settlement layer. 4 different providers, 4 different integration points, 4 different compliance reviews. Ripple Prime collapses all of that into one system. That is the Amazon playbook. Not one piece of the ecosystem, the entire ecosystem under one roof. When Ripple Prime drives actual trade execution through the XRP ledger, that is when the tokenized asset market stops being a showcase and starts being a live settlement network. That transition from showcase to settlement, driven by Ripple Prime, is what produces organic and sustainable XRP ledger volume at institutional scale. Now let us address the most powerful idea in this entire video, and it is one that almost no mainstream crypto analysis is discussing seriously. The world is becoming more geopolitically fragmented. Russia and Europe are economically separated. China and the United States are decoupling. Emerging economies are building trade relationships that bypass the dollar system entirely. But here is the thing that does not change, regardless of geopolitical realignment. Countries still need to trade with each other. Germany and Russia still need to settle trade balances. Brazil and Vietnam still need to exchange value. The Gulf states and East Asia still need to transact. Does Germany want to hold rubles as a settlement asset? Does Russia want euros? Does either of them want to depend on a US dollar system that can freeze their reserves overnight? The answer, as the world learned when $600 billion in Russian reserves were frozen in 2022, is no. Every non-aligned economy on Earth watched that event and drew the same conclusion. You cannot hold reserves in a currency controlled by a government that has the power to take them from you. The solution to that problem is a neutral, decentralized asset that no single government controls, one that settles in seconds, one with a 13-year operational track record, one that is legally clean in the United States and recognized as a commodity by US regulators, one that no country owns and no country can weaponize. XRP. This is not a crypto use case. This is a geopolitical necessity. As the global financial system fragments into competing economic blocks, the demand for a neutral bridge asset between those blocks does not decrease. It compounds. Every new trade relationship that forms outside the dollar system becomes a new corridor that needs neutral settlement infrastructure. And Ripple, no other company in the world, has spent more time inside central banks, inside financial regulatory bodies, inside the rooms where global payment infrastructure is designed. That positioning is not accidental. It is the result of over a decade of deliberate relationship building around the exact problem that XRP was designed to solve. Let me bring all of this together. The XLM Wick this morning is telling you that liquidity is returning to the market and XRP's move is loading up. XRP's chart, consolidating on top of previous all-time highs, is one of the cleanest setups in any asset right now. The XRP ledger is running its own race with fixed functionality designed for institutional finance, not competing in the crowded smart contract space. Ripple Prime is the Amazon-style vertical integration that turns tokenized assets from a showcase into a live settlement network. And XRP's value as a neutral, decentralized bridge asset for a geopolitically fragmented world is not just a crypto thesis. It is a structural geopolitical necessity that every major economy is beginning to recognize. No other cryptocurrency is positioned to solve this problem. No new project can catch up to 13 years of central bank relationships, regulatory track record, and institutional infrastructure already built. The market has not fully priced this in yet, but the chart is set up. The liquidity is returning, and the fundamental case has never been stronger. Stay informed, stay patient, stay positioned. Subscribe to XRP Verified. I will see you in the next one.